Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today's Belararox Investor webinar. I'm Nicola Gazzatti from Investor Relations Consultancy Corporate Storytime. Belararox is an advanced mineral explorer focused on securing and developing high-value clean energy resources to meet the surge in demand from the technology, battery and renewable energy markets. Today, I'm joined by Belararox's Managing Director, Arvind Misra, and Exploration Director, Jason Ward, following their successful $8 million placement that will see the company fully funded for its exploration program at the TMT project in Argentina. Arvind and Jason will be providing us with an investor update, which we will then follow with a Q&A session. So without any further ado, I'm pleased to hand over to Arvind and Jason.
Hi everyone, I'll take it from here first. Welcome and thanks for joining us today. This is a very exciting time for Belararox because we're launching into our drilling program at Malambo, which is one of our porphyry targets we've identified within the TMT project. A bit about us first. A bit about the project, how we secured it. I first saw this project in 2004. I saw Toro. It's an epithermal project, and I've long looked at this part of the belt between the Maricunga and El Indio belts within Argentina. The Chilean side is very well explored, and obviously Chile is the world's biggest copper producer and holds the most resources. And relatively, the Argentinian side of the border has had a lot less work. Anyway, there's big alteration systems there. We went in and did the geochemical and geological mapping to identify porphyry targets. In the photo in front of us there, we can see some of that alteration. That's phyllic alteration, and there's jarosite and goethite there from the weathering of sulfides. These sort of alterations, assemblages we can see from space, and then we sample them on the ground to confirm the interpretation. And that's some of our team, some of our geologists in the photo there. This is a standard disclaimer. There's forward-looking statements here, of course. But the upside is huge. Where we're exploring is truly elephant country. Chile has the world's biggest porphyry copper deposits. Argentina also has some monsters there. There's 5 porphyries over 1 billion tons each just in San Juan province, just in the province we're working. And there's more that'll be found there. Some of the recent ones have been in the press with BHP and Lundin earning into Jose Maria, of course. Our team have a proven track record. Myself, I've been involved in several discoveries. There's about 12 altogether, including the last 3 in Ecuador, included Alpala, which is 12 million tons of copper and 26 million ounces of gold in 3 billion tons of ore. There were 2 other, Porvenir and Tandayama, both billion tonners as well. The difference between exploring in a country like Ecuador, you've got jungle cover, mud cover. To find alteration systems like you find here in the Andes, you got to trek through the jungle, dig holes, put auger holes down just to see the alteration system. So here, our exploration program, we've had a really good jump start straight into the hotspots via our land satellite survey. We'll go into that in a moment. Here's a little bit about the company, and here I'll let Arvind take control for a moment.
Thank you, Jason. This is a corporate team, and I just need to focus on 2 people here. Jason Ward, my exploration director. As Jason said, he lives in Argentina 20 years, discovered many porphyry systems, more than 10 discoveries to his credit. And the second person we should focus on today is Steve Garvin, our chief technical advisor. And Jason and Steve have worked together on the previous discovery in Cascabel, which took a company of junior 25 million market cap, 1.5 billion on the discovery. On the corporate structure side, we got, with the recent capital raising, 151.6 million shares on issue, currently market cap about 36 on the basis of this completion of the placement. In the last 2 months, we have done 2 rounds of capital raising, $7.7 million in August, $8 million last week. So we fully funded. And with the help of Jason on side, we have been able to negotiate contracts with the service providers like drilling contractors and civil contractors who are taking part of the fee in shares. So we have realized about $2.9 million worth of saving that way in terms of not paying cash, paying them in shares. So we are fully funded for the program. Just a pretty quick slide to show the valuation side. BHP and London combined bought this project of Philo and Osmeria for $4.1 billion, which you see the market cap on the y-axis on this graph. The one point to focus here in terms of valuation that we should be looking at is that if you look at the vertical lift in the market cap of Philo Corp, which happened around April, July 21, that was on the back of one big hole that discovered 858 meters of 1.8% copper equivalent. And that hole took them from 50 million market cap to $1 billion market cap. We are drilling, that's where we are in our journey. We're drilling those deeper holes. Jason will cover more detail, but we're drilling 6,000 meters, 3,600 meters in Malambo, the top target, and the second top target is Tambo, 2,400 meters, drilling about 5 holes. A bit of a story in that hole, drilling a deeper hole by Philo Corp was that before then they were looking for shallow epithermal and sulfide deposits, and they visited Jason and Steve at Cascabel, who were drilling deeper holes, one of the holes being 2.7 kilometers, mostly mineralized. And when they come back and drill the deeper hole to Philo, and that's when they found the source, deeper porphyry system. So we are there in that journey. We're looking for deeper and the source and for the larger copper porphyry with a team that has proven itself many, many times before in that part of the world. I'll leave it for you, Jason, to take it further from here.
Yep, thanks, Arvind. Yep, that's a good point there. The evolution of exploration in the Andes has gone from finding oxide copper sticking out of the ground to going in and finding the sulfides and them being valuable, but shallow. And now it's all about deep exploration. That's where we can get a lot more tons from a porphyry system. If you have a porphyry that's just 500 meters in diameter, but it has a 1.5 kilometer ore column, that's like over 1 billion tons. And you can actually mine that by block caving, which is the cheapest mining method. It's a lot of upfront capital, but the future developments, and they're building big block caves under the existing pits now at Chuquicamata and other places. El Teniente is the most famous one that's been running for 100 years and has 100 years of life left. So I think the new development is all about going deeper, looking deeper, and that's where the discoveries will be made. And to hone in on where to drill, as I said earlier, first you have to pick the right belt. And this belt is the best in the world. It's as good as anywhere. Obviously, a lot of these mines on the Chilean side and some deposits on the Argentina side. Most of these deposits and mines line up along structures which are well defined. It's often the arc parallel structures, let's say the northerly trending structures, the intersection of those with the northwest, southeast trending structures. There you can see mines right along these structures through deposits in Argentina and mines on the Chilean side. And this happens all the way up the central Andes. So we have a very big land package. It's 32,000 hectares. It's maybe one of the bigger land packages in the hands of a junior in this belt. And you've all heard about some of the recent M&A activity in investments all around us. So our first stage was identifying these targets. You can see within the package, we ranked them just based on their alterational assemblages, which we could see from Sentinel-2 and ASTA data in the land satellite imagery. And Tambo South and Malambo both came up as A1s, highest priority. Toro South is the only prospect within this package which has been drilled. It's had 22 drill holes. They encountered very strong epithermal mineralization, intermediate sulfidation, and they're linked to porphyry deposits. So, you know, the mineralization we see here is linked to a peripheral porphyry. So we plan to drill our 6,000 meters at Malambo and Tambo South. And recent work at both of those has really increased our confidence in the targets. This is some of the images based on some of the recent work. This is a 3D geological cross-section. It's based on surface measurements of the geology. And we look at the azimuth and dip of those structures and imagine what's down there. We haven't drilled beneath yet, so that's what we interpret the geology to look like. We think there's a causative porphyry in orange here, which does an outcrop, which controls the alteration and the mineralization we see in surface geochemistry. That surface geochemistry, here is some of it here, and we put that into a 3D algorithm to get models based on, there's the Haley model and the Cohen model. We've spoken a little bit about these in our announcements, and I won't go too far into them, other than to say they're basically a statistical model to show what type of deposit would cause that sort of surface anomalism. And we've been really successful with these in the past. Steve and I, we managed to trace the Alpala high grade 500 meters below surface showed up with this. So really good statistical probability of a causative porphyry down there. And these images are our surface geochemistry. And this is just some of the elements. Copper is notoriously depleted very easy, so it can be patchy, but there's still a central copper core there. That's coincident with a molybdenum core. And molybdenum is always your best geochemical pathfinder in this environment. And that's significant. Over 5 ppm, doesn't sound very high, but that's a very big anomaly. It's about 800 meters by over a kilometer. And here it is surrounded by a lead and zinc halo. So these are classic porphyry geochemical signatures. And to put it in size perspective, here's Alpala with 3 billion tonnes, including 26 million ounces of gold and 12 million tonnes of copper. And here's Tandayama America with, well, in the indicated and inferred, it's 1 billion tonnes. There's 722 in the indicated there. And here's Malumbo. So we're comparative size, and these are the same threshold, the same geochemical threshold. So when we went into our targets and we did all the geochem and we found this gave us another level of encouragement that we are looking at a porphyry system, which could be significantly mineralized to cause those anomalies. Here's a picture from Google Earth that shows the location of the drill holes. We're drilling them from uphill so we can get across the stratigraphy, which dips into this mountain. And you could see that in this cross section I showed earlier. The stratigraphy is dipping into the mountain. So the first hole we want to go down across stratigraphy. The second hole, azimuth and dip, could be modified depending on what we hit in the first hole. The geology matches very well. There's zones of potassic altered diorite in the center, intermediate argillic alteration, and it's surrounded by propylitic alteration. Once again, the alteration and geochemical profiling lines up perfectly. And that's one of the sections that we're going to drill. So the first hole will be, we'll go to about 1,000 meters. We need capacity to keep going. If we find high grade mineralization, we want to stay in it, and we need capacity to go to 1,200 or deeper. So we have enough pipe on site to do that. So that's the first target, Malumbo. We'll go straight into Tumbo. This is Tumbo. It's further north, 10 kilometers further north. Again, we had a really big alteration system. This was the biggest one. And within that, we found a zone of quartz veinlets and coincident with potassic alteration. It also has a big moly anomaly, and that's really the key, that molybdenum. It's just amazing how everything lines up. Your alteration, your geochemical pathfinders with your molybdenum high, and you can see small outcrops of potassic there. So that's what it looks like. So that's the mineralized area over there. You can see it. And that's actually 800 meters long, just this section. So the scale is misleading there because it's really really high mountains. There's the team. And here's some of the geochemical results. So once again, we have copper and molybdenum, both coincident. And this moly anomaly is comparative in size to the other one. So what there it is there, over 6 ppm moly. The Halley and Cohen models both coincide. Once again, there's always a little bit of difference between them. It's something to do with the percentage of arsenic and lithium. Cohen's based on the Errington model. Halley's based on the Errington plus 11 other porphyries in the Andean range. But we see coincident geochem and alteration, and running the geochemical data through these algorithms, it plots up these big porphyry targets at depth, which we will test. So the size of those is very large. So there's 2 holes there planned for 2,600 meters. If we are successful, we can continue and drill more holes. Here's a comparison of the alteration at Tumbo South with Filo del Sol. So Filo del Sol here by NGX and the Lundin Group. And it has all the right ingredients. You can see muscovite, porphyroite, jarosite, and chlorite, the same alteration assemblage minerals that they have at Filo. The scale is the same on both. There's a bit of snow capping here. So if we imagine that this is joined to this somehow, then we're looking at somewhere about 3 kilometers across that alteration system. So very significant. And here's what the Cohen model looks like, and the porphyry model. So we're on track to commence, and I will just play a little video now. This shows what it looks like. So zooming in, I'll leave the music off. On the Chilean side, the world's biggest copper producer right there. Argentinian side, much less explored, but San Juan, even though it's been less explored, there's 5 major porphyries there. There's some of them, Pachon, Los Azules, Altar. In the El Indio Belt, moving north, there's Pascualama and Valadero, 2 giant epithermals. Valeriano, just over the border, is a 1 billion tonner. And here we go, zooming into Malambo. It's amazing for me that these obvious bullseye alteration targets have just never been drilled. And I think we've got an amazing opportunity. So here it is in our leapfrog model. That's the geochemical lines. And here are our geochemical signatures. We have a central gold anomaly that's coincident with a central copper anomaly. And it's rimmed by lead and zinc. And it's just like it's out of a textbook. And moly is the really strong one, the best indicator in this environment. There's our section. That's interpretive. We believe that orange target down there is our causative intrusive porphyry. We don't see it outcropping at surface. It's all host rock. We don't see the causative intrusive. The bottom of that model is about 9,000 meters deep. So I'd be expecting some good signs of mineralization 400 to 500 meters down. And we know it's a porphyry copper system. What we don't know, does it have gold in it? And we don't know the grade, and we don't know the tons. So we don't know a lot about it. All we do know is that this is one of the best places in the world to find them. And these things look like porphyries, smell like porphyries. They have all the geochemical and alteration characteristics of porphyries. This one, Tumbo South, it also has a bit of a characteristic of a high sulfidation epithermal. And Filo del Sol, just to the north, has overprinted high sulfidation on top of a porphyry. So we're not sure if we're going to find something similar here, but we can tell, especially by that moly anomaly, coincident with the veins and everything, the moly anomaly is a real porphyry indicator. And there's the copper, and there's the gold. And okay, copper over zinc is another good indicator, moly over manganese. There's some of the pathfinders we use, and moly. Moly is the strongest. So we assay for 48 elements at the lowest threshold, and we do many different ratios. So our interpreted porphyry intrusive there is the upper one. There's the Halley model there, is deep. We don't know if it signifies a batholith or something, but our first drill program will get us about 1,000 meters below surface. And that's where we hope to make our next discovery. At the moment, we're fixing the roads. The snow's melting. This is a current just from a couple of days ago. The bulldozer's on site, clearing up some of the snow so that we can get our drill rigs into camp. Is one of the creeks, and I'll leave it open to questions now.
Thank you to you both for the update. We will now move on to our Q&A. Arvind, our first question is for you, and it is in 3 parts. Regarding Denala Limited's involvement in the most recent fundraising efforts, could you clarify the following? There appears to be limited information about Denala Limited. Could you provide details on what attracted them to Belararox, and have they previously invested directly into mining companies in the past? The second part, will Denala Limited be pursuing a position on the board? And are Z1 Trading and Denala Limited affiliated entities or close associates?
Yeah, so Delana is a £4.8 billion fund out of Hong Kong. And I got to know about this fund through 2 gentlemen called Tim Zhuo and Neo Chen, who are our friend, and I've known them for a long time. They're fund managers out of Shanghai, and they're managing this fund also. And they have been traditionally only investing money, and main activity they pursue is trading the farm produce. And they have taken 100 million off that now to put into the mining sector, mining energy, and we are the first one to have got the investment in this. In terms of your answering the question, director representation on the board, yes, once they reach 17%, they have the right to appoint a director, which they have nominated one of these fund guys to representing them on the board. And there is no relationship between G1 and Denala.
Thank you, Arvind. Our second question is also for yourself. The ASX has often undervalued companies operating in South America. Is Belararox considering a dual listing to access capitals from markets that have a better understanding of the South American market, such as the TSX? Alternatively, do the investments of Denala and Z1 include any provisions that would prevent such actions?
I would answer the second one first. There's no provisions in Denala or G1 investment that will prevent us from looking at listing somewhere else. In terms of answering the TSX listing, yes, we have considered that from time to time, particularly now that we are getting attention from the money from the Toronto and Vancouver, where Jason has been marketing for the last 15 odd years, attending all the PDEX and other conferences there. And so we have some following from there, and particularly the 1832 investment that was made in August, that is giving us a food for thought to maybe consider listing a TSX. And obviously TSX understands the South American market a bit better than ASX appreciates it. So this definitely is in discussion, and we probably will take a call once we are in Toronto in March, when Jason and I I'll be at the conference, PDEC conference, consulting our shareholders from there and other advisors.
Thank you, Arvind. Our next question, what proportion of funds from the most recent raisings are being directed towards the Kalahari Copper Belt project?
Kalahari, we have a minimum commitment of spending $1 million. That is the agreement we did with the vendors, and that's what it will be. And we have total budgets of $15 million for the FY25. And 12 million of that is going to Argentina. So our main focus is Argentina, and that's where majority of the funds are going.
Thank you. Jason, our next question is for yourself. What is the distance from Belararox drilling to the Filo discovery, and does Belararox have the required permits to commence drilling?
Yep, we're about 60 kilometres south, 50 kilometres south of Filo. And yes, we are fully permitted to do the drilling at Tumbo and Malumbo.
Fantastic. Jason, the next question is for yourself. The TMT project is surrounded by large discoveries now in the hands of majors like BHP, London and Barrick. Which of these projects from a geological point of view are similar to TMT?
We can tell from the alteration, there's many similarities, but what really honed us in was the geochem, and that tells us that it's more similar to Valeriana and perhaps Filo del Sol. We think they have porphyry signature. So both Malumbo and Tumbo South. Tumbo South, as I said, could have a a high sulfidation overprint as well.
Thanks, Jason. Our final question for today. Jason, can you touch on your discovery success in South America, and can you give a brief summary of how you put the TMT project package together?
Okay, yep. So I've worked all over the world. In South America, the discoveries I just spoke about, the big one was at Cascabel in Ecuador, and Cascabel has 2 porphyries within it. It has more than 2, but there's 2 economic ones that we've defined there. Alpala, which is the biggest copper and gold discovery in the world, I believe, still in it was in the last 10 years. I don't know if there's been a bigger one since. It's maybe the world's biggest undeveloped gold deposit and 3rd in copper or something. It's very big. It's going to be a block cave development. And associated with that is Tandayama. It's just 3 kilometers north of Alpala. Also in Ecuador was Cachaposa in Porvenir. So exploration is always a group effort. They're not just my discoveries, they're the team's discoveries, but I was in the team and leading the team at the time. And prior to that, I'd been involved in the discovery of 6 mines in Oman. Also, 2 in Laos. I worked on a gas discovery in Papua New Guinea. So I've been involved in discoveries quite a few times. I've seen what goes into them. I've seen where they take companies to and from, and I know how they're made, and this is how they're made. They're made by taking a risk, by looking at a very good target, and drilling the holes that need to be drilled, even if they're deep. Spending the money well, making sure we're fully funded, but also making sure we do all the right work, all the geological work, and pick the very best place to test. And part of that is having the best team. So I've got a really good team here in Argentina that I've built over the years. We also use some of our Ecuador geologists to train the Argentinian guys. They're guys that have been with me through several discoveries in Ecuador, and also consultants such as Steve Garwin, who I think's the best porphyry consultant in the business. We've worked together for many years, and he comes in and out as needed. He's always on the phone with the team, and we're always training young geos, and these geologists in Argentina are very good as well in their own right. We more get everyone aligned with our mapping and our protocols and everything. And a big part of it's, doing it safely and doing it responsibly from the environmental and community side of things, making sure we hire as many locals as possible. We hire people from the local communities, even though the local communities close to Tumbo and Malumbo are quite far away. We still make sure that we include them, and keeping the government updated on what we're doing is a big part of it as well. So there's a lot goes into it. It's not just the rocks, but we are at the crunch time, the most important time, which is drilling. And because these are the first holes in basically virgin deposits, I'm really excited about it. And I think we've got a great chance of discovery.
Arvind and Jason, do you have any final comments for today?
Look, I couldn't be more proud of my team. And I'm chasing the hottest commodity, copper, everybody's chasing these days. I'm chasing in the region which gives you billions of tons of deposits if you find them. We had 12 targets. We scanned 5 of them. We're drilling the 2 of them this year. We are ready to go. Civil contractors have finalized the road. Hopefully, a drilling contractor will be there next week or week after. We'll be drilling in 2 or 3 weeks' time maximum. And I have got the best possible team to uncover and discover this thing. So just the message, most exciting part of a junior is to drill, and we are drilling with all these good things around me. So that's the summary that I have. And Jason, if you want to cover something, Matt.
I think I just gave my summary, but basically that's it. It's a great opportunity. It's one of the biggest land packages in the hands of a junior. Everything's lining up. There's been no field work that suggested the projects aren't as strong as we originally thought. They just keep getting more compelling, and now we've got to drill them and find out.
Thank you both for the comprehensive update. We will look on with interest for Belararox's future. If you do have any questions for the Belararox team, please email them to info@corporatestorytime.com. This does conclude our webinar for today, and I thank you all for your attendance. Thanks, Arvind. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.